お願いします。Today I'll read Kisei number 15, Key Breathing. The breath goes out, reaching everything in the universe and all of humanity. The breath comes in and falls into an infinitely small space in the lower abdomen. Key breathing is the unknown practice that brings you to being one with the universe. If you do this alone at night, when the universe is calm and quiet, you will wonder if either you are the universe or if the universe is you. In other words, you will experience the ultimate joy of being one with the universe. Then the life energy of a human being becomes fully active. So nice to see you all. I hope everyone's doing very well. So today I'd like to, there was something in this key saying that caught my attention. And I'd like to hear from you after we sit for a while about. It was this part at the very beginning of the key saying. The breath goes out, reaching everything in the universe and all of humanity. I was wondering about this all of humanity part. And, it occurred to me that this is maybe talking similarly, in a similar way to the intoku, about good actions and bad actions, that our breath, that our being touches those around us. And which brings up this kind of recurring theme for me, and Curtis Sensei talks about this a lot, that everything is practice. Everything in our lives is an opportunity to practice. Everything is practice when we're in this training. So yeah, this is a challenging point, I think, to realize that what we do, and to realize to be aware of the different ways what we do may touch other people around us. And so I know in my training over the years, Curtis Sensei has worked hard, I would say, to help me see when I'm putting on an act, trying to help me get me to drop the pretense. And when we begin to do this, then our being can more positively affect those around us. But this is an ongoing process. It's not just something that happens once and then we're done. We have to always be mindful, be present to this kind of thing that crops up in us sometimes. Kind of an act of a certain way of being that really isn't, that really is extra. It's not really necessary. And I know this is not, I'm not expressing this in maybe the clearest manner, But what I'm trying to get you to see is that as we train, just the training itself, and as we open, just this opening itself has an impact on the world around us. It may not be an effect, an impact that we see, that we are conscious of, right? And so this is what I think Toi Sensei is referring to, that when we're doing this practice of ki breathing, our breath touches all of humanity, like ripples in a pond, and we don't get to see necessarily those ripples. That's the trust part of this practice. We just put our trust in this. So I want you to think about that as we sit today. Think about all of the effort that you've been putting in here over these last few years in these classes, and then over your entire course of training. And how just by engaging in this infinite, wondrous search, this changes the world around us. Again, it doesn't necessarily change it in a way that we can clearly see, right? And yet it does. And this is related to something that we were talking about a couple weeks ago, when one of the students brought up a difficulty with another person. Maybe there was some attempt to influence or change the behavior of another person. And the other person didn't change, right? Maybe the other person sensed some attempt to control. But that doesn't mean there was no effect. Maybe the effect happens the next day. Maybe it happens a year later. Maybe the person suddenly realizes something about their behavior that they had never seen before. See? So I'm not suggesting we go out and try to influence and change other people. That's not the point here. In fact, it's more the sense of just our presence is what does this. And when we are clear, then maybe we do some sort of act when it is necessary. If we're not clear, maybe we, if it's appropriate, simply observe. And that is the breathing, the breath that touches all of humanity. Okay? Something for you to consider as we sit today. All right, we'll begin with ki breathing. Right, sitting up straight. All right. So Keep breathing, keep saying, everything is training. Talked about these things. And let's hear from you. Yes, go ahead, please.
Good morning, Colonel Sensei, and everybody.
Good morning.
Yes, I appreciate how you took breathing to the next level to, for us to um, expand our breathing. And okay, I have to tell you, when we were I believe it was the last time we were in Japan, and we got to go over to the house and select something from, the collection, the Tonin Sensei's collection of like tea ceremony items, and on the shelf in the hallway was a little picture. It was a, very, whimsical little drawing of like a happy child or something playing. And it said, um, when I change, the whole world changes. So that has stuck with me. And that's really what it encapsulates for me, what you're talking about, and really to a reminder for us to think bigger, feel bigger. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Well, yeah, this seems to cross, this is not something only that applies to a certain culture. It seems to cross cultures, right? This kind of, and this teaching, of course, and this kind of, this view, right? Gandhi said something similar about being the change you want to see. Um, yeah, and when we're breathing, I don't know how the experience was for you today. When we're breathing, and it's very calm, as the key saying says, and this small self kind of fades into the background. I think many of you have had this experience in some way, maybe many ways over the years. But when we're doing this, that in itself is the opening. That is the opening of the world, right? That is the process itself taking place. That is the universe changing. And, we tend to, our habits are very strong. So in my case, I tend to make a thing out of it then, right? Make a thing, like make it solid, make it want to last, make it want to be a part of like a memory that I can then take and use. But that's already kind of forgetting. Again, that's the habit taking over, right? So it's just sitting there, and it may not, again, like I was saying earlier, it could be when we're in a crowd, and just being in that kind of allowing everything to take place, allowing the small self to fade. And then everything changes, right? And we may not notice that, but it is happening, right? I was teaching in high school about 20 years ago, for just a few years, between stints at different colleges. I gave high school teaching a try, and I mean, of course, I enjoyed it very much. Then I met Celine, and that changed. that job changed. But we were taking a class photo once, and it's not a big giant group of students, maybe 25 students, and they had to be in a certain formation, I guess. I was not familiar with any of this. I was new. And there were other teachers. There were maybe 8 or so teachers. And the other teachers are all giving instructions and doing this. And it was a cool morning. We're all kind of in jackets, and I was just standing there, following directions, but also watching. And the principal walked by, and she said, you're doing something very different than everybody else. You're just standing there. And then she said, I really like what you're doing. I wish I could get everybody else to do that. Something like that. And, I wasn't trying to get other people to do that. I was just, enjoying being there, watching, and not knowing, of course. So I'm not going to pretend that I know. And, of course, sometimes I do actually do that. But yeah, so every moment is like a time for this picture that you're describing to be embodied by you, right? Every moment. That's everything is training, right? Well, thank you very much. Any other comments? All right. Well, I do have a couple announcements before we close. A week from today, the HKF members have an opportunity to gather as part of our Hawaii Key Federation General Membership meeting. We're going to have that about 10 minutes after this class on this same Zoom channel. So just you can just stay on after the class, those of you in Hawaii Key Federation. And the other, and it'll be a short meeting, by the way. It's a meeting to talk about the year. The chief instructor will give a brief report. We'll introduce the board members as we always do, and the board officers, I should say, and talk about the state of Hawaii Key Federation and the upcoming year. And then we are planning to have the final Zoom meeting, meditation class for 2021, 2 weeks from today, which I believe is the 19th of December. So 2 weeks from today. We'll send a message out, but I don't think the message may not reach every single person. And so I'm just letting you know now. We'll send a reminder out. If you're at the head of a dojo, please, and you have students that are attending these classes, please share any messages like that in case I don't have their email addresses. All right? Thank you all very much for this hour together. Have a great week ahead. Domo arigatou gozaimashita. Aloha.